Well, here I am, and here you are.
Here I am.
In a hotel room.
Just the two of us.
In Birmingham. Now, some people might be wondering what me and you are doing in a hotel room in Birmingham. And they would be right to wonder.
Probably, and but we're not going to tell them, are we?
Well, I think we ought to.
Okay,
But
well,
not yet.
you explain it.
But not yet. This is Ollie, my mate Ollie. He's just got off the train from...
Well, Glenrothes in Scotland. Well, Kirkcaldy actually was where I got the train from, but just 7 miles up the road is Glenrothes. So
Oh, right. How long?
day. Train was 10:20 this morning, but I was lucky to get a connection that was just all the way through.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to change anywhere, so that's good.
Yeah. Is that where you were born and brought up?
Kirkcaldy. Yeah, Kirkcaldy is where I was born and brought up, and that's where I bought my first Wizard record.
Your first Wizard record?
Yeah. The train was at the train station's only half a mile away from where I bought my very, very first Wizard record. So,
Right.
so it's amazing, and now I'm down here with the world's biggest Wizard fan.
So you were living at home with mum and dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brothers and sisters?
Two older brothers.
Yeah.
My brothers are really older than me. My oldest brother's 15 years older than me. So I was talking about, Pat had said about how I'd got into the move and idle race and all that sort of thing, and Wizard. But it's strange because long before I really got into Roy Wood, my brother, he was friendly with a guy who worked in a record shop called Bruce Findlay, who went on to have a chain of record shops. One of his chain being the one that I bought the first Wizard record from. But Bruce sold the business in the late 70s and went on to manage Simple Minds. So that's his claim to fame. But Bruce was one of these guys. When my brother Andrew went in to the record shop, he'd say, apart from the hits of the day and everything else, it's like, listen to this, and he'd come home armed with Tyrannosaurus Rex, Incredible String Band, all the sort of cult bands of the time, and one of them being the Birthday Party with Idle Race, which I used to love. Because that and Sergeant Pepper, he'd play it all the time, and there was move singles there. I remember the having Flowers in the Rain and Blackberry Way, but obviously I didn't know the Roy Wood Jefflin connection, not at all. And it was years later when I got into Wizard, which I thought that I could bore everybody with that one, but let's just say that when I got into Roy Wood and Wizard and everything else, and to ELO through the Roy connection, my brother said, I remember that LP you used to listen to, that Idle Race one, the Birthday Party, that's Jeff Lynne. And it's like, what? So it was strange that it all came about. But yeah, I was aware of Idle Race when I was only 6 or 7 years old.
Right. And what year was that?
That was 68, 69.
68, yeah.
68, 69, yeah. And I was staying in a block of flats in Kirkcaldy with an old, it wasn't even a stereogram, it was a radiogram. At the time, with a little sliding bit where you put the record on. I can still smell that yet, actually, now.
So, actually an Idle Race fan before you got into the Roy Wood and the movement?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which is strange. I mean, I never knew, in fact, I never even knew who the name of the band. I just remember always saying to my brother, it was either put Sergeant Pepper on or put Birthday on. And Follow Me Follow was my favourite.
Right.
It still is.
Now we're having a get together today, a few old friends, and even a couple of members from the Idle Race. Are you looking forward to that?
That's going to be brilliant. This is going to be out of this world. Yeah, I mean, obviously we've all been in touch with Facebook, and without the Idle Race guys, we've all been friends for about 20 odd years now, I think.
Yeah.
You'll go back longer with some of them, but about 20 years that I've known you all, and this is the first time in fact probably since 2000, when we do the convention? Was it 2001?
Yeah,
2000.
yeah.
So it's the first time in 14, 15 years that we've all been together again, so great.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of members of the Idle Race here, Dave and Roger, which is very good of them. Jeff, unfortunately, couldn't make it.
That's alright, I'll forgive him.
Did you like any other what other music were you into at the time?
When we look at my radio programme that I used to do now at Art School Dancing, it was all alternative music, and I've always had a sort of thing from the alternative side, and I think that goes back to that time, because I remember, as I say, Tyrannosaurus Rex. I do remember the Move LP itself. I was always intrigued by the Move LP, and it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realised that the big spidery thing in the middle said "Move."
It did, yeah.
I
don't think anybody did.
I never recognised it. I just remember the colours vividly, and the Doors and all that sort of stuff. Used to get that forced at me all the time, as well as the pop sort of singles of the time. Then when my brother got married and moved out, obviously my interest sort of waned a little bit until the wizard thing took off. But I remember my cousin also, he's a bit older than me too, he was at university, and when my brother moved out, because my cousin was at university locally, he'd come and stay at weekends, and he would bring things like the Radha Krishna temple, Roxy music, you know, early Genesis and that sort of. So I was always fed on the underground sort of scenes. So if you think I've got a crap musical taste, and that's them to blame for it, basically.
I think with you, musical memories, I think the best years are your teenage years. I don't know, that's how I always feel. They're my favourite years.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, the whole thing with will I tell the story about the wizard, how I got into that, or well, I'm going to tell it anyway. Why not? It was January the 13th, 1973. I can pinpoint the date. My father and I were going through to a place called Stenhousemuir to watch Raith Rovers, our team, playing the Scottish Cup. And my dad would never have the radio on going to football matches. He was a bit anti-pop sort of thing, you know. But for some reason it was on this day, and this tune came on, and I fell in love with it. And I didn't know who sang it, and I didn't know the name of it, but I just remembered the tune. It turned out it was Ballpark Incident, and it was stuck in my head. And then after a week or so, it sort of just faded from me a little bit. And it was a few weeks later, I came home from school one night, and I was getting to pop music at this time, and I'd bought my Slade Come On Feel the Noise single, and then Gary Glitter, Hello, Hello, I'm Back Again, and a second one. I still make no apologies for still having that, actually. I came home, I was getting into pop music, you know, the glam rock thing.
Yeah.
We'd just got a colour TV before that, so everything was just bright explosion of colour. And I came home one night, and Lift Off with Aisha was on the telly, and On Come Wizard doing See My Baby Jive. Now, apart from the song, which was just phenomenal, it was brilliant, my dad about exploded in his seat when he saw this brightly coloured hair, beardy makeup, and you know, all this everywhere. And honestly, from my dad was wartime generation, and he nearly had a fit. The veins were in his neck and everything, and I thought, Teenage Rebellion, that's good enough for me. That's it. This is going to be my band. And so I went out and bought See My Baby Jive on the Saturday. Played it to death over the weekend. Every friend I can get, I had them round the house, like, listen to this, it's brilliant. My friends got into it as well. And then I was at school one day, and one of my classmates is whistling Ballpark Incident. And I went, what's that song? And I'd heard it this time. I'd read up a few things about, you know, when you're a youngster and you get into a particular band, and you're wanting information from everywhere. So I was, you know, standing in what was the old W.H. Smith's, reading everything I could find to do with Roy Wood. And I'd heard I had a single called, that was a second single was See My Baby Jive. The first one was Ballpark Incident, but I still hadn't equated the two together. Yeah. Until my friend this day was whistling this, and I said, what's that song? Because it was this song that I fell in love with. He says Ballpark Incident, so that sealed it for me. And I swapped him a brand new copy of T-Rex's The Groover for his well played, battered, jumping copy of Ballpark Incident. But I was, you know, that was it for me. And strangely enough, my dad came around because he began to really like Roy's music as well, and they went out and bought me Angel Fingers as well, and so it was. That is just 1973 is just the year for me.
And I agree, yeah. And what a great coincidence that Roy Wood and Jeff Lynne, your two sort of favourites, were together for
exactly.
2 or 3
well,
albums, yeah.
Again, at the start, I never knew that. I bought the copy of The Hornet that you've got up on thing, which I eventually got myself another copy years later. But I bought a copy of The Hornet, and I found out about this The Move. And I'd said to my brother at the time about The Move because I remember him having Blackberry Way and Flowers in the Rain. And of course at that time I never equated that Roy Wood was in both bands. So that made it even better again. And then I heard about Roy was in ELO. For some reason I thought he was still in ELO. So I think it was Christmas money. At the tail end of the year I went out and bought ELO 2. Got home and opened up and well, where's Roy Wood? Yeah. He's nowhere. But I saw Jeff Lynne, Ben, all these people, and I'm thinking, well, all right, Ben was in The Move and everything else. And I played the LP, and because I'd been brought up in all this sort of prog stuff as well, I mean, it's the same as a brother, but pretty much for a teenager and pop music, they're pretty much unlistenable to start off with.
Yeah.
But I fell for them right away. And ELO too, and I loved it. And it was then my brother came round and he went, ELO too, Jeff Lynne, that was that birthday, the Idol race. So it was like
amazing, really.
how it all just came together. It was like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like good.
So, time you left school, what was your first job?
I went to the side dockyard to become a coppersmith.
Right.
A coppersmith apprentice. And it was a shame because they're all into sort of punk and new wave, and everybody listened to charts on a Tuesday, and I was always waiting for a Roy release.
Yeah, I know.
And it was never ever getting the charts. In fact, just before that, the year before that, we were having these teenage parties as you did as teenagers, and we'd all go round to one of two houses on a Saturday night where the parents would go out and just leave us the run of the place basically, and we'd all play our favourite new records and everything else, and you know we'd all got X-Ray Specs and Stranglers and the Clash, and I turned up with Superactive Whistle and I put it on, and it lasted 10 seconds before they told me to get it off again.
Yeah.
They wouldn't listen to it. They let me put on Earthrise because it was reasonably slow, which meant snogging time with the girls, basically. You know, not that I ever got any of that. I let you know, but they wouldn't have let me go anywhere near Whistle. Or near the turntable with the Whistle Band LP. It was so out of touch with everything else it was on, but I loved it. And even yet I still love it. And we had a reunion of all these guys the first time we got together in 35 years, about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And I forgot to take the Whistle Band LP down. But we're having another one, so I'm going to take it down and make sure they all get their photograph taken with it.
Yeah,
it's like,
and make them listen to it this time.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to put a couple of tracks on this, definitely. But no, my first job was a coppersmith at the side dockyard when I left school at 16. And yeah, it was good, and I think the first Roy Wood record I bought with working man's money was, I think it was Keep Your Hands on the Wheel, late 78, I think it was.
79,
late 78, I think so, yeah.
So then moving on a bit, you got married and had children?
Yep, I married a girl called Shan, lovely girl. We had 3 beautiful children. Samantha's now 27, she's got 2 children of her own now. Jonathan's 24, he got married 2 years ago. And Matthew's 21. Marriage fell apart in 2002, 2003. But you know, these things happen. I don't hold any bitterness towards that. We get on well now. She's remarried now, and yeah, we get on fine as friends. So maybe we should have stayed that way, to be honest. You know.
So, like me, coincidentally, not only were you a big Roy Wood Jeff Lynne fan, you were into your radio. I think you did hospital radio for a while.
I did, yeah. You've got a record. You're longer than me though. When did you start? 1979 or something, did you?
Yeah.
So you're far longer than me.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing okay. I started in. I did discos for a while in 1984. Well, sorry, from 1678 to around about 86, to be honest. And of course, I wasn't trying to emulate Roy Wood or whatever. It was just the music. I was in the old hippie stuff. I had hair down here. I had round glasses, right enough, and not a big beard like Roy, but a beard anyway. People say it looks more like John Lennon. But, you know, and the New Romantics are in. I was liking all this New Romantic stuff as well, but as the 80s progressed, I hated the music. And I was standing at weddings playing, you know, She Wears My Ring. And I've got hair down here and big beard, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing here? That was just not me, you know. So I made inquiries through a guy about 2 years before that, in 84, to go to hospital radio. And just at that point, there was an LP released on Harvest called Art School Dancing. You know, the greatest, because I got into not just the Roy Wood stuff, but I started collecting the Harvest label as well. And I loved the Pete Brown and Piblocto, Things May Come and Things May Go, but the Art School Dance Goes On Forever. And I wondered how I was going to get that into a radio programme somehow, because the music I was wanting to do was all alternative, but I just wanted to keep throwing Idle Race and ELO, early ELO and Roy Wood in there whenever I could. And then that LP came out, Art School Dancing. I went, that's the name of the radio programme. So started that in 1984 and finished it 31 years later, earlier this year.
Yeah.
So you beat me by a long chalk. You've got about 5 or 6 years on me.
Because the way things have changed with the internet and everything, like in the olden days, we'd send each other tapes of little radio shows, but now with the internet, you can listen to each other on the internet, And
It's amazing that. I mean, obviously, when you're doing hospital radio, you're wondering who's listening, if anybody's listening, and there's, it's like you hear these young DJs these days, and they're going, well, they're always looking for instant feedback. We never ever had that. We just went and assumed that people were listening, even though there's probably nobody listening. But then we all broke out. I think you did the same onto an AM wave band. Which gave you a little bit, although you couldn't sort of broadcast it, you were outside the hospital sort of thing. But so that was the start of our school dancing getting bigger. It went round a few other radio stations. Latterly, I think it really began with internet sort of radio thing took off in 2009, 10, and I moved to a station called Leith FM, and then Castle FM. And then I moved to K107 FM. BBC Scotland, two years ago, 2013. They made an offer to me to take the programme to BBC Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland, which I was delighted about. I was finally going to get paid for what I love doing. But then they said, well, we'll choose the music, and you present it. And I thought, I can't do that because that's not me in that case. I'm not doing what I want to do.
Your heart wouldn't be in it.
No, not at all. They were giving me 2 free plays an hour, and I thought, no, I can't do that because they'd be playing records which I didn't like or whatever. And I always said that I never ever played a record that I didn't like. In fact, there was even with Roy. I think it was 1, 2, 3 in '87. And I had to sit and really juggle with myself in this one. I thought, if this wasn't Roy, would I play it? No, I wouldn't. So therefore I couldn't. So that was one that I refused to play, of Roy's ones. But I never ever played a record that I didn't like, and I always liked seeking out new things that was just totally different from what was going around.
Well, you certainly played some totally different stuff on your radio show, must have. You listen in and think, what the hell is this, Of course, another love of yours was football.
Yes, I had Raith Rovers.
And you ended up working there.
We supported Raith as youngsters. My dad took me along from when I was 5 years old, so it was my ambition was to play for them. That never happened, although I was on the books in the 80s there. This is now my 3rd spell there. I've been there since 2004 now, on the 3rd spell. And loving every minute of it. I'm with the first team every week at some of the bigger grounds this year. So, but it's good.
You've always had good health over the years.
Until a couple of years ago.
Well, that was what I was leading on to.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. I mean, you know me by now, man. I don't, I don't keep it a secret. I don't. But yeah, I've been fine over the years. Okay, this was a bit of a shock when when things happen, but that's the way it is.
Well, I was going to say, obviously you noticed something wrong one day, or over a matter of days or weeks, I don't know, and you went to the doctors. What were you noticing, and what were you told?
About a year past Christmas, just before that, I noticed that I was having difficulty swallowing certain foods. And I put it off. I thought, it's maybe just a sore throat or whatever. But it wasn't getting better, and I thought, it's maybe tonsillitis, maybe go to the doctor. But I'll get Christmas and New Year done. And I struggled with some things over Christmas and New Year, and it got to about February, and I thought, I can't put this off any longer. So I went to the doctors, and the doctor did a blood test, which showed a couple of abnormalities in it, but nothing to get too uptight about. But he sent me for a gastroscopy, and the gastroscopy came back showing that there was a blockage in the gullet. They said they didn't know what it was. They knew fine what it was, but just wouldn't tell me at that point. And they said, well, we need to go for we want you to go for a... No, wait a minute, how did that work a bit? No, they told me there and then that that there was a blockage, but they wouldn't confirm it. They took biopsies from it, and then I got a call the next week. Strangely enough, it was the week of... I was dealing with the BBC for football, when I got a phone call from the doctor saying, can you come up to the surgery at 5 o'clock? So you knew that wasn't going to be good news. So we went up there, and he just sat me down, and he just says, He says, cancer. And it's like, oh, okay, fine. And he said, well, I'm booking an appointment with a specialist for you, and we're going to try and get because it's operable, so we'll have to talk about an operation, so you'll see the specialist later on this week. So everything sort of moved into action kind of quickly. The specialist said, right, it's operable, but we need to get you for a CT scan first just to make sure it's not anywhere else. So I went for a CT scan, and there was something showing up in the lymph nodes, and it says, look, we need to go for another gastroscopy again, so we can take biopsies from that, just to make sure that it's not, it's not cancerous. Because if it's cancerous, that means we can't do the operation, because we couldn't do a big, huge operation on you just to leave cancer elsewhere in the body. So every time I'm going along, I'm thinking, it'll be good news, it'll be good news, and every time it was bad news. And of course, I came back on that one, and when I went in to get the results from it, my own specialist was sitting there. She was sitting there on a desk, legs swinging, looking at the ground, and I thought, this isn't going to be good, So they said, no, it's in the lymph nodes now as well, so that rules out any operation. It's palliative care from now on. I said, palliative care? They went, it's terminal. And I went, all right, okay. How much time then in that case? And they went, maximum 6 months. Really? So they said, right, we'll send you for, we'll get you in to see the radiologist to discuss chemotherapy. But already in my mind I was thinking, why am I going to have chemotherapy if it's not curable, So my family was saying, well, keep an open mind. I thought, okay, if this is going to give me another couple of years, right, fine, I'll do it. So I went through, discussed it with them, and they went, I said, how much more time is this going to be? And they went, an extra 5 months tops. And I thought, well, there's no way now that I'm going to take chemotherapy, because what's the point in taking that and making myself ill all the way through this to try and recover from that, only to go downhill again? I'll take my chances on my own positive mental attitude, and have whatever time I've got as quality time, rather than trying to focus on getting a quantity of time. And then I sort of shut out all the medical people at all, and just refused to go, and thought, I'm just going to get by on this, And 16 months later, I'm still here. I mean, the club sprang into action. Hall of Fame guys organised a big dinner for me and everything else. It was filled with footballers from all over the place, which I was really, really humbled. But I think I'm going to have to give them their money back now, because it's like I've kind of, sorry guys, I'm not quite dead yet.
As we speak, it's now the end of August 2015. And how long ago were you told that?
A year past April.
Is it?
A year past, 16 months down the line. I had a close shave in July. It was nearly game over in July. When I hadn't felt great all week, and I was vomiting up blood. Luckily my boys had come through. Apparently there was a phone call that I can't remember anything about, because I was practically in a coma at the time, and they got me to hospital just in time. So the hospital managed to stabilise that bit, but the consultant says, right, we're a bit confused, where have you been?
Yeah.
And I went, what do you mean? They went, well, where have you been the last 15 months? And I went, well, keeping away from you lot. He goes, oh yeah. He says, you're off our radar, we thought you were dead. We thought you'd gone already. And I went, well, unless this is Randall Hopkirk, here I am. It's like, I've got to now sort of play their game a little bit, but I'm still refusing all treatment and everything else, and take it as long as I go.
How do you tell your family something like that? I've tried to get my head around that.
When I first had to tell them, it was there was a lot of tears, mostly from me, because I couldn't, it was how to say it to them. But at least the first one, when I'd got the cancer and it was operable, I was telling them at that point, so there was no things about it being terminal at that point. It only became terminal when I got the terminal news. The boys were with me at the time, so it softened the blow a little bit. But I've always taken the attitude where cancer respects nobody, so I give it no respect back. I ridicule it, I laugh and joke about it. I'm the one that'll play in it. I'll make all the dead man jokes and everything else, you know. And you know, if somebody has a go at me, I'll go, you can't say that to a dying man, this sort of thing. So I'll always take the piss out of that, basically, you know, more than anything else. And the family now do it as well. They'll laugh and joke with me, or they'll say things to me, which maybe don't sound too respectful, to be honest, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's their way of being able to handle it and deal with it. My older brother, he's more heads in. My oldest brother, he's more heads in the sand with it. He seems to think he's in denial about the whole thing. It's like, oh, you'll go on for years, and it's maybe they've all got it wrong, and you're maybe thinking the cancer will and it'll disappear. And you've got to be realistic with it. But at the same time, as I say, I've got cancer, but cancer doesn't have me, and that's the important thing.
I've seen your posts on Facebook, and they're a mixture of jokes and.
Oh yeah.
I think if it'd be me, I'm going to be honest, I just think I would have gone to pieces. And
it's funny, I always said that, you know, if I had cancer, I would never take treatment for it, because there was a friend of mine was diagnosed with cancer maybe a year and a bit before, and I saw what he went through, and I thought I wouldn't take that. But the reality of when you're, you know, what you're saying in theory you'll do, and then what actually happens in reality can be totally different. But for me, it's been exactly the same. I've never changed it all the way through.
If you had the choice, I mean, you now know what it's like to be told you've only got so long. If you had a choice, are you glad you've had this time, or if you could have chosen to have just gone suddenly?
They reckon that it maybe come to a point where I may go on a level okay, and then just suddenly drop. I must admit, I don't want to go on a downhill drag, you know, and things get really, really worse at that point. I don't want to do that. But the important thing is that, and anybody who's maybe watching this, tell the people around about you how much you love them, how important they are to you. Because we just bumble along with our lives, and we never really give any thought to what may or may not happen. And then, you know, I could have been somebody that went my brain hemorrhage, and then people are saying, I wish I'd said this, I wish I'd said that. The great thing is, it's like this is more than likely going to be the last time I'm going to see you and see Pat and see everybody, you know. But I'd take it this way rather than just, you know.
Well, listen, mate, I know you need to get a shower, because we're off out for a few beers.
In fact, I'm smelly. Consequence of cancer, folks.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
I admire the way you've handled it.
Cheers, man.
We'll go out and have a few beers. You get your shower first.
I'll have a few waters. I can't drink beer.
Message to anybody out there watching this, maybe when you've gone?
All I would say is that to anybody watching this is that live your life to the max. Value all the people around about you. Tell anybody important to you how much you love them. Never ever waste a minute. It's people that's important. Yeah, houses are important, cars are important, jobs are important, we know that. But the day-to-day stuff isn't important. You know, that can fall away or whatever. The important thing is you've got people around about you. Value every single minute and make the most of every single opportunity. Love each other.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's Ali.
It's Martin.
He's going for a shower.
He's been on radio longer than me.
I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah, he's not coming in the shower with me.
And it was years later when I was trying to connect Roy here, when I got here, my brother says, remember that young kid used to play all the time? Yeah. It's Jeff Lynn. Yeah. What? And then got the birthday party up there again, so that's funny just the way it all...
Yeah, it falls into place. Hello. You're meeting somebody, huh? There you go.
Hello, Ally. Roger, how you doing? All right, I see you. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Hello, Dave. You okay?
All right, Roger.
Good to see you. Hello, Mart.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Martin on his phone.
I've
There's
got
somebody
to-
down here who wants to meet you.
Who? I've got to get a photograph of you to make my brother jealous.
Oh, right. Well, you're making me even more jealous. Who's here to see you?
Don't believe it. Good to see you, man. Well done.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Good. I'm just
You
about.
just said I got a surprise. I'm going to shout you and Dave and send the picture. I said, well, I've got a bigger surprise for you.
Oh, fantastic! Thanks for doing it. Brilliant. That's amazing. Take photographs, everybody.
Hello, Martin. How are you? Hello, Dave. How you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Keep well.
You too.
You don't know me, I'm Eddie.
Hello, Eddie.
Hello, Jackee.
Thank you.
Reason for letting
live your life to the max, value all the people round about you, tell anybody important to you how much you love them, never ever waste a minute. It's people that's important. Yeah, houses are important, cars are important, jobs are important, we know that. But the day-to-day stuff isn't important. You know, that can fall away or whatever. The important thing is you've got people around about you, value every single minute and make the most of every single opportunity. Love each other.